I'd like to talk to you a bit about a paper that you released earlier on this year. It made intellectual waves around the world because you were talking about things like China's energy emissions, or at least emissions, peaking in 2025. So first question really is, can you just briefly explain about that paper and the key messages out of it?
Okay, this is a research paper. So we just focus on what we are doing the modeling for China. So the fundamental idea is this. Because in Copenhagen, in Cancun, Durban, we already agreed to do 2-degree target. So then the homework is when we have a 2-degree target, what's the meaning of a global CO2 emission? And then we run a global model to see the global CO2 emission pathway. And come back to think about what's the Chinese CO2 emission. Because anyway, I think by today, maybe Chinese CO2 emission already account nearly 30% of global CO2 emission. And we had to do a lot. So from the model itself says, by doing that kind of, for example, if we want to support a global 2-degree target, anyway, Chinese CO2 emission have to peak before 2025. And then the question comes back is, what's the feasibility? Whether China can do with that? That we are using our technology model to make a simulation, sector by sector, technology by technology. Then the answer is it's possible, or it's feasible for China to peak our CO2 emission before 2025. And the key factor is, first thing is we have to make our economy better. That means optimize our economic structure. For example, an intensive industry should reach peak soon. And the data shows that in the last 10 years, several energy intensive industry actually account nearly 70% of newly increased energy in last 10 years. So if they can reach the peak, no more increase, you can understand how big change for China's energy demand in the coming years. The second point is we have to do a lot continually for energy efficiency improvement in China. Even though for last several years, 5-year plan, we already did a very good job. I think it's perfect for me, energy efficiency improvement in China. But we still have homework to continue to do that kind of tough work, maybe by 2020, and to make the energy efficiency in China one of the best in the world. And next point is for renewable energy and nuclear. So far, the renewable energy development in China is very good. I think it could be a perfect way because we always go beyond than the planning, go beyond the national plan target, even though it's only within 1 year. So we do see very big hope for renewable energy in China. Hopefully, maybe in the coming 5-year plan or by 2020, renewable energy will take over nearly 30% of newly increased energy demand in China. For nuclear, even though we got some bad impact from Fukushima nuclear accident, but now for me as an energy system analyst, I think nuclear is still very safe, very clean for China because if you compare with coal-fired power plant, coal-fired power plant in coal mining every year, more than 2,000 people died because of coal accident. And even for the coal-fired power plant, it's also many people died because of accident in the coal-fired power plant every year. So personally, I still strong support the nuclear power plant in China because anyway, coal is very dirty. We should remove that. The next point is in the scenario, we really focus on the CCS, that's carbon capture and storage. Even though nowadays we have a very big argument on that, so we try to join several projects. Feasibility study for CCS in China. Then we have some data and also some feeling on the technology itself. We try to tell my colleagues in China that CCS is one option we have to do in future to minimize our CO2 emission. The last one I want to focus is we still prefer, we say, low carbon lifestyle. We use a bicycle rather than to use a car because population density in China city is very, very high compared with other cities like in New York, London, and Paris. We nearly more than double of the population density. In that way, some option we can learn from other countries, but something we have to do by our own. For example, electric bike or very big size of subway or metro system we should develop. I think soon that Beijing and Shanghai will be the really top in the metro system in the length of total length. It will happen within 20 years. And this is the fundamental idea for why China can reach the peak by 2025.
The picture you paint is wonderful. It's hugely ambitious, and I'm wondering if when people read your paper and listened to your proposals, do they think this is a good idea but it won't work? What are the debates that you've had with colleagues about whether this is a practicable plan?
Yes, we got a very big argument here inside China. So when we present this, yes, so far we don't have much other modern team support this idea, but today it's getting more. So many of my colleagues in China said it's very difficult to reach a peak even before 2030. So they have their own study. But good thing is we try to make our model transparent. We send the data to other modeling team, to our colleagues, and we have a lot of discussion or workshop or meetings to talk about the key factors on the modeling. For example, we only talk about how to optimize our economic structure. Why China is still making our cement will reach peak by 2015. What's the reason behind that? So we try to talk a lot, and maybe we can convince many people there. So by today, I think we already get many people convinced. And this is a kind of a process, how to sell your idea on the research. So we still have some way to go.
Is the key to many countries cutting their emissions just to find an alternative to coal? Is coal the big problem, do you see, in terms of just, the whole climate issue?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, coal is the biggest source in China for energy-related CO2 emission. So we had to change our way to use coal. If a coal cannot reach peak, and it's difficult for China to reach our CO2, to peak our CO2 emission in near future. So nowadays, we also have very strong policy on air pollution control. And this policy actually brings a very big hope to reach the peak of coal use in the coming several years. For example, by 2015 or by 2017. But in the meantime, we have to find alternative energy source, for example, natural gas or renewable energy. But so far, renewable energy is difficult to play a very big role. So natural gas is getting to be very important. I think in the coming several years, we really need a lot of natural gas supply to replace coal. This is a very big challenge for us.
If China's emissions were to peak in 2025 or about that time, what do you suspect the energy mix would look like if you could sort of divide it up in a pie? What would it look like?
So from now, I just mentioned about the natural gas will increase a lot. And maybe coal will reach the peak. So maybe by 2020, the share of natural gas will increase a lot. And also share of renewable energy also increase a lot. In the meantime, not today, I think the coal use account nearly 68% of total energy. So hopefully by 2020, it can be reduced lower than 60% or something like 55%. Let's see what happens for that.
Interesting. And do you, I know there have been lots of CCS projects taking place around the world. It still doesn't seem to really be able to be scaled up on a commercial level. For you and for fellow modelers, is CCS working absolutely critical?
From our scenario, the answer is yes. We need a CCS. This is a very good way to make the coal industry or fossil fuel industry longer. If we suddenly stop them, we will get trouble for social problem. Many people will lose their job. So we need some new technology. And also another aspect is CCS is very crucial for a very long time because even though we don't have any emission from energy, but we still need negative emission. That means we have to use the biomass power generation together with the CCS. That could be observed CO2 from air. And some scenario shows after 2060 or 2070, globally we will go to negative emission. So in that way, CCS will contribute a lot. From this understanding that the lifespan of CCS technology could be very long, could be several centuries. So this is very useful to develop such kind of technology.
One final question, and it's to do with the, you mentioned it earlier on, the pilot programs that a few cities in China have rolled out with regards to, I guess, cutting their air pollution levels and cutting coal use. If that's a success, do you sense that will provide a positive template for national leaders to move forward? Is it important that these regional projects that they can be proven to be successful?
Yeah, the answer is for sure yes. I think the recently published Chinese action plan on air pollution control is a so positive impact on our future CO2 emission pathway. And I think even 2 years ago, it's very difficult to talk about to push coal to reach the peak. But nowadays, the air pollution control action plan actually makes this happen. So this is one way to think about our future. I think the several key regions in China, for example, Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei, they already proposed their very detailed action plan, how to bring down the air pollution, including how to reduce their coal use in the coming several years. The new 5-year plan really focuses on the period from 2013 to 2017. So far, we got data from the provinces that maybe by 2017, Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei altogether we can see around 70 to 80 million ton coal reduced. If you think about other regions, so we can see something like 150 million ton coal reduced by 2017, only in these 3 key regions.